Before watching this video, please refer to Pomodoro technique intro. This is the starter level where I explain the background, toponym, and core idea of the Pomodoro technique. Then come to this video, which is the beginner level. Let's talk about Pomodoro technique and why it is important in our daily life, like running errands, doing chores, or doing your work or studies, and that kind of stuff. By the way, the remark I will refer to the Pomodoro technique as PT. For those who don't know anything about PT, I'll try to simplify. Is when you are engaged in an activity for 25 minutes and then take a break for 3 to 5 minutes and then repeat the circle. It's very simplified though. So why 25 minutes? The author takes 25 minutes as an imperative for a designated task. He used to commute, which took him 25 minutes, and during these 25 minutes he was concentrated on reading a book. Thus, during these 25 minutes, it was impossible to get a cup of coffee, turn on the TV, check his favorite internet community, or do anything else that suddenly turns out to be so dramatically important when someone tries to read the same book at home. The reading time on the bus is time-boxed, single activity, single goal experience with amazing results. And then he came up with the idea, what if those 25 minutes to extend to other activities? The author recommends a tomato-shaped timer, but nowadays actually we can use the timer or countdown that is a default on our phones. The point is, you can make time your friend, not your enemy. Now, instead of feeling anxiety about deadlines for this day, this week, or this month, you set a timer for 25 minutes and completely focus on the task at hand. When the timer rings at the end of the 25 minutes and you're still working, it does not mean that you have failed to finish. On the contrary, it's a round of applause for your completed time box. There is a very good saying in the book. You can't dance at 2 weddings with one rear end. In other words, you should focus on one activity at a time. And by the way, your subscription would be pomodoro. Let's talk about the symptoms that hold us back from the job being done. These symptoms keep us from accomplishing the assigned tasks, and here are some of the many symptoms that need treating. And the Pomodoro technique can be a very good treatment. I bet you are familiar with one or two of them. The following are the problems that can cause people do not get work done. Excitement decreases when complexity is high. When tasks are complex, you can't complete them in a single 25-minute period, so you tend to procrastinate. Procrastination provides easy relief when problems are hard, but the problems do not go away. No matter how complex the task, the important thing is to keep starting. Procrastination increases when tasks are boring. The tasks may be boring, but when you have 25 minutes, it should trigger your brain that it doesn't matter whether it's boring or not. Now, what you have got is these 25 minutes and the job has to be done. You do it, and after the timer rings, you track your process and estimate how much time you approximately need to accomplish the task. It may be 4 to 5 Pomodoro timers or 2-3 days, each of 4 to 5 Pomodoros. What is important here is that at least now you have the estimation and you know that you have this task even though it's boring or complex. It could be done, and you just need some Pomodoro timers to finish it. The hard work is done, but the activities that matter are still not completed. This symptom is very tricky because it makes you feel that you have almost finished and the most difficult part is accomplished. The easiest part gonna take you 10 to 20 minutes. But remember, my friend, the devil is in the details. You do your planning in the morning and commit to doing a small number of activities that day. The pressure builds before a deadline. Long hours and working weekends are never productive in the long run. If you are forced to put in more hours than you are comfortable with, you won't be able to produce quality work for long. You can create a sustainable pace with the PT rhythm by using short iterations of 25 minutes, by not skipping breaks, and by focusing on one activity at a time. Let's say that you're working on a project that has a deadline until next Monday. Instead of organizing your time, you choose to take overtime on weekends. You have finished the project successfully. But is it a good strategy in the long run? What about the project that you will have in the future? Are you going to take overtime for each project with a deadline? You will burn your energy out and will end up with chronic fatigue syndrome. That's not what we want, right? The mental transition between work and breaks is too slow. Sometimes you can lose time during the day just getting started or coming back for lunch. The time it takes to get back on the task can add up before you know it. Your to-do list should be realistic, not like a fabulous plan on paper, and when it comes to reality, you find out that your time is not enough and your energy is burned out. As a beginner, just take small steps and try to get into the pomodoro technique from the activities that are relatively easy to accomplish and are totally dependent on you. Mistakes get repeated over and over. To avoid the same errors day after day, the last 3 steps of the Pomodoro technique are done at the end of every day. Record, process, and visualize are together the daily retrospective and the key points for adapting your personal process, which means you learn and improve every day. The effort that one task takes is underestimated. Activities become much clearer when they are broken down into smaller parts. If you estimate that an activity will need more than 7 pomodori, you can break it down. Using pomodoro estimating, you can get immediate feedback on the pace at which you are working when you compare your pomodoro estimate with the actual number of completed pomodori per activity. This is called quantity estimating. You do the comparison. The scope of a task is underestimated. Do secondary tasks spin off from your activities while you work on them? In the Pomodoro technique, you just add them to the unplanned and urgent list and then intensify your efforts to complete the main activity. This is called quality estimating. Estimates are seen as promises. It's impossible to guess exactly how much time an activity will take. The habit of seeing your guess as a promise creates unnecessary anxiety. You have the timer for 25 minutes and X for each 25-minute round. That's it. Sometimes it's hard to focus on one activity because you get so many other great ideas all the time. Someone pushes work on you. When people push work on you that you don't want to do, it's unlikely you'll enjoy doing it. The fight between have to and want to is known as the terrible two. Perfectionism prevents actions. Winding up the clock and putting in 25 minutes of effort will reward you with being able to write an X and then take a break. Fear of failure or criticism is a mental impediment. The Pomodoro technique is your commitment, your process metrics, and your process. Get a piece of paper and a pen. Make a list of several activities. These activities have a title, Activity Inventory. Write down all the activities you want, plan, or are supposed to do today, and then draw a second column with the title To-Do List. Now, which one of these tasks did you write down is the most important? Draw those tasks from the inventory to the to-do list. Now, as we come to the end, remember to ask yourself these follow-up questions. What makes you stop an activity before you are done? What is the best place to read to help you focus? What do you do to avoid starting on a boring task? What type of activities usually take more time than you initially estimated? Are you bound to do administrative activities that steal time from more important activities? After you have answered these questions, drink 2 shots of Bloody Mary and have a nice day. That was Jay Morningstar signing off.